Secondhand Therapy is presented by Pony Bear Studios. For ad-free episodes, head on over to patreon.com/secondhandtherapypod.
Hello, my little bear cubs. We have a new sponsor, and that new sponsor is BetterHelp.
Yes.
BetterHelp is an online resource for therapy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if...
Who would have guessed it?
Who would have guessed it? I don't know if you know about the show, but we're actually very pro-therapy around here. Very pro-therapy.
That is the rumor that's going around.
It's helped me a lot.
Really? Tell me more.
It really has. You don't notice a change in me? Is that what you're saying?
I do.
Okay, then. Has it helped you?
Absolutely. I'm in BetterHelp right now, and my therapist is awesome.
Your therapist sounds pretty great, I'm not going to lie.
Dude, I'm so happy with him. And like whenever we have to reschedule or something changes, it's so easy. It's like literally like 2 clicks and it's done.
I have to call mine.
Ugh. Boo.
It's terrible. But here's what I will say. I was always very much an in-person therapy kind of setup for myself.
Yeah.
I'm on telehealth now. Way better.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, doing therapy like from your couch or like where you're in your space where you're comfortable. Oh, dude, I'm doing way better.
That's one of the best parts of BetterHelp is that I get to do it from my cozy little corner chair.
Yeah.
I dim the lights. I light a candle. It is therapy time.
Yeah. I don't ever want to go back to a therapy office again. So that's where we're at. Now, since they are a new sponsor of ours, they were nice enough to give us a little discount code for you to use. So,
ooh, a little treat.
Yeah, if you're hearing this, maybe you're in between insurance and you would like to start some therapy, or maybe you've never been to therapy and you really want to try it out. BetterHelp's a really good start. They make it easy to find and pair up with somebody, and it's very affordable. So if you want to give it a shot, you can use the discount code they gave us. You can go to betterhelp.com/secondhandtherapy or just betterhelp.com, and it'll ask you where you heard about it. Choose secondhand therapy. They'll give you 10% off your first month. Try it out. Start your healing journey. Changed my life. Did it change your life?
I'm changed.
He's changing.
I'm working on it. Can you give me a minute? Welcome back to Secondhand Therapy.
What if it's their first time, idiot? Then what? What if it's their first time, you idiot?
Welcome.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You fucking idiots. No. Welcome to Secondhand Therapy.
Hey, welcome.
We want to remind you.
Welcome and welcome back. Right?
I hated that.
I included all the pronouns.
I hated
with that one.
Welcome
Welcome and welcome back.
That.
All he, she's, and theys. You're all welcome here.
Welcome to Secondhand Therapy.
Welcome back. Wait. Oh, yeah. I'll let you do it.
We have a guest. Also,
hey,
hold on.
I can't. This is why I can't let you do it.
Listen, I'm doing it. We're not therapists. We're not licensed professionals. This is not a substitute for actual advice or therapy.
Could not
in any way.
How many fumbles did on one run?
Was flawless.
QB handed you the ball. So if you're the running back, the quarterback handed you the ball, you shit your pants, dropped the ball, slipped in the shit, tried to fall on the ball, couldn't pick up the ball, died.
That was a flawless victory.
We're not therapists. We're not experts. This is not a substitute for therapy, and this is not professional advice in any way.
That's exactly what I said.
We have a guest.
He's
got poopy butt he's got to clean up from the fumble. Poopy butt.
Fucking
tell me poopy butt's not funny at any age.
Trash, Paletti.
Tell me poopy butt isn't funny at any age.
It's pretty funny.
Thank you. I know. We have a guest. We're going to be talking about porno. Pornography.
Pornography material.
We have Jeremy Lipkowitz joining us remotely from a very, very far away place on a different continent. Mm-hmm. He used to be a monk. He also used to be addicted to porn, not at the same time. And he's now neither of those. So we got an interesting convo coming. I got some questions for him.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, I've looked at some of his stuff. Very interesting. So Should be good.
Yeah, and I've looked at some porn. Very interesting. So
Now,
should be a
when
good
he
episode.
says some, he means all of it.
I've seen it all. Hey, you know
You've
what?
seen all of it.
I finished the internet earlier today.
He did.
Finished it.
What's in the Z file? He could tell you. Went through the queues in an afternoon. What else? Hey, go to Patreon, idiots.
Be nice to them. What if
You call them fucking idiots right at the beginning.
What if it's their first time here?
Well, they're dumb for not being here sooner.
Well, you got a point.
And I stand by that.
Go to Patreon, you fucking idiots. I don't like that.
Hey, you're going to hear some ads. And if you don't want to hear the ads, there's only one thing you can do about it. There's two. One involves wrapping your lips around a weapon.
No.
I'm not going to say what kind of weapon.
No.
I'm not going to say what kind of weapon.
Two,
you can go to Patreon. Two, you can go to Patreon. Patreon.com/secondhand therapy pod. We got stuff going on.
We got a bunch of merch.
We got stuff. Oh, yeah. If you sign up, we got different tiers. We got giveaways, stickers, sticker sign print, t-shirts, all kind of stuff. Go check us out. Patreon.com/secondhand therapy pod.
And you can contact us. You can tell us how much you
don't
like one of us and how harsh they are.
But only if you don't like one of us, make sure it's me, because one of us can take it and one of us can't.
One of us will wrap their lips around
a weapon.
A weapon.
And by weapon, he means his father's penis.
Haven't seen him in a dog's age. You like that, huh?
A dog's
That's a little
age.
callback for you. Yeah?
That's from the shit show. It's on Patreon.
Oh, buddy, only on Patreon.
Merch available, secondhandtherapypod.com. And do we have some news?
Oh, we do.
Emotional sport hoodies.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of new colors.
Yeah.
Same quality. They finally released some new colors. So we got, our earth tone game is.
Oh, buddy, that sandstone? Is it
off
sandstone? What
the
is it?
chain. I think it's just sand. The sand, the clay, the sage. Dude, the sage. I need one.
We got all the pottery colors.
Yeah. Tie-dye hoodies, mood crews. We got a bunch of cool stuff. Vasectomy Farm stuff is still out. Portion of that goes to Women's Reproductive Resources. Secondhandtherapypod.com. Good way to support the show.
And you can contact us.
You
can send us physical mail. You can you can send us digital stuff like text messages or voice memos.
Or pictures of your cows and donkeys.
We talk about it on the show.
Yeah, that's true. All the contact info is in the episode description below. Or if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, it is on your screen. That's fucking it, dude.
That's it, man. Let's
subscribe, follow the show, share it, like it, leave a comment. You can comment on Spotify, whatever, dude. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. We're going to talk about porno.
Love you. Bye.
Pornography. Hello, my little bear cubs, and welcome back.
Secondhand therapy.
I'm dying to hear about the your experience in Buddhism.
Yeah.
I want to know everything. How'd you get into it? How'd you get out of it? What was it like? What'd you learn? Everything.
Yeah. How I got into it was through just my own experience of addiction, kind of realizing I was addicted to porn. This was towards the end of college. I had this existential crisis moment of awakening where I realized that I was never going to be happy if I kept living the way I was living. And so that sent me down a rabbit hole of looking into first things like positive psychology. So I started looking into some of the science of happiness and well-being. And that got me into this book on meditation and Buddhist philosophy. And it was a really cool book because it actually kind of blended modern science and neuroplasticity and neuroscience with Eastern wisdom. And so it finally bridged the gap for me where I realized, Buddhism isn't just some kind of religion about spirituality and kind of woo-woo stuff. It was a very grounded approach to understanding your mind and cultivating the things that would lead to happiness and well-being. So that book changed my life and sent me down a decades-long rabbit hole of getting interested in Buddhism. And I could tell you kind of where it sent me from there. I went to India, started doing meditation retreats, ended up ordaining as a monk for a short time. But I have, a long journey and a big love
Are
for
you still
Buddhism.
involved?
I'm still I would say, a practitioner of Buddhist meditation. And I would consider myself a Buddhist, but what's interesting is for me, Buddhism is more of a philosophy. It's not a religion, because there is no deity in Buddhism. There's no kind of dogmatic belief system about where we were created from. It's really, the Buddha was just a guy like you and me who understood his mind and understood how to train his mind to let go of suffering and to cultivate inner peace and happiness. So for me, Buddhism is more of a philosophy of life and how to live a good life. So I consider myself a Buddhist and am involved in that way. And I still go on retreats very often, but I'm not a monk anymore. And that's a big misconception a lot of people have when I tell them that I was a monk. They're like, "Oh, so you're still a monk?" And
I didn't
like,
know.
no,
I didn't know a
definitely
monk could
not still a
retire.
monk.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was like a Marine, like once a monk,
Yeah,
always a
so
monk.
You're an idiot.
it's quite interesting in particularly in certain kinds of Buddhism, like in Southeast Asia, in Thailand and Myanmar. It's called Theravada Buddhism, and in these cultures, it's actually almost seen as like a rite of passage for a young man to go ordain for a while, not to be a monk for the rest of his life, but to ordain for a month or a couple months is seen as kind of a rite of passage. And so it's just called disrobing. So you become a monk, and then after a month or a couple months, you can disrobe. So you get your possessions back and give up the robes. So it's seen more as like an experience and a way to live in a very simple way for a while, but you don't have to do it for the rest of your life.
So while you're robed, what does the day-to-day look like?
Yeah. So while I was ordained as a monk, it happened to be while I was on a very intensive long-term retreat. So I went to do a kind of a silent retreat. So I do silent retreats quite often, which are typically 10 days where you go and you're not talking, you're not reading or writing or journaling, you don't have any of your electronics, you give up your phone, you're not checking your news, and it's 10 days of just practicing meditation. And so that sometimes it's called a Vipassana retreat. There's other kind of ways to do it, but that's something that I would do very regularly, maybe once a year. And I decided to sign up for a 30-day retreat, like a month-long silent
wow.
retreat. And it was at a Buddhist monastery in Myanmar. And at this monastery, you had the opportunity to ordain for that time if you wished. So while I was a monk, I was doing this very intensive retreat practice. So it wasn't necessarily the same as what the daily life of just a typical monk on any random day would be. Typical monks, they do a lot of chores. They go on alms rounds, so they wake up quite early in the morning, and then alms rounds, they're walking around the village, around their monastery, getting food offerings in their begging bowl, bring it back to the monastery, and then the whole monastery kind of eats together. And then there's, a lot of meditation, and then sweeping the temple and cleaning and sewing their robes. It's a very simple life. But while I was on retreat and while I was ordained as a monk, it was just intensive meditation practice.
So what is that? I mean, it has to be shocking to go from this kind of like American culture into monk life. What were like some of the first days like there? Were you going a little stir crazy?
Well, so when I went and did that month-long retreat and ordained as a monk, I had already done maybe 15 10-day silent retreats in the past. So I already knew what it was like to go through that culture shock of going from the busyness of modern life into a silent retreat. So by the time I was ordained as a monk and doing that practice, it was old news to me. I knew exactly what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, like the first time.
But the first time I did a silent retreat, yeah. The first time was wild. I mean, it's the most challenging thing, that I had ever done, and probably to this day, still, because we're so used to distraction. We're so used to checking email and looking at our phone and talking to people and, just all the busyness of modern life. And even my first one was even before we had social media and phones. I think, Facebook was out, but, this was before it was hyper connected. But even still, it's just so wild to not have anything to distract you from yourself, to not talk to people, to not read or write. You're not even journaling. You don't bring a journal to kind of write out your thoughts. You're just really with yourself and your thoughts and your experience. And so it's incredibly wild, but it's so rewarding to be able to learn how to work skillfully with your thoughts and emotions and feelings. It's like a boot camp for self-mastery and training the mind. So it's wild. And then also the reverse is wild. On the last day, when you go back into modern life, they always say, like, be careful going into a grocery store. You walk down the cereal aisle and you've got thousands of choices of cereal and you're like, oh man, this is so crazy. So going back into quote unquote normal life is also a trip, or at least it was a trip the first couple of times I did it. Now I can kind of go in and out of retreat, and the transition is much easier for me. I kind of know how to go in and drop into that stillness. And then I also know how to come out and not just be totally overwhelmed by it.
Do you run retreats?
I used to. Yeah. So for a long time, now what I mostly do is coaching men around porn addiction. But before that, I was teaching meditation for about 10 years and moved to Thailand and started running some of these retreats, because one of the things I realized is there are a lot of people like me out there who want some of this kind of Eastern wisdom, but they don't want the religion behind it. And they don't want it in a super spiritual, woo-woo, kind of fluffy, open up your chakras and get aligned with the universe. They don't want that either. And my approach is, my background is in the sciences. I was a geneticist, so I kind of approached this from a very rational, secular, logical perspective. And there weren't necessarily a lot of retreats, silent retreats out there that were offering that perspective. So I started running retreats in Thailand. But then in 2018, I really found my purpose and my passion in coaching around porn addiction specifically, because it was just coming full circle. That was my gateway into meditation. That's what got me into Buddhism, was my own porn addiction. So now I spend my time doing that.
Yeah, so I was actually going to circle back, so that's perfect. You said it happened toward the end of college. Did you just have a level of self-awareness to know that you had a problem? Or how did you figure out that you were addicted to porn?
Yeah. I've always been a kind of more self-aware. I don't want to say self-aware person. That sounds very pretentious. I've always been a more observant type person, kind of more thoughtful, a little bit introverted, pay attention. My background really being in the sciences, I like to study and analyze things. And so I did have a level of self-awareness to see what was going on quite early. And I'm very thankful that I caught it as early as I did, because a lot of people don't catch it until they're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and realize that they've been kind of destroying their brains for that long. I started watching porn when I was very young. I mean, I started getting into looking at the Victoria's Secret catalog, when I was 7, 8 years old. And it just escalated once we got internet, So I had been watching porn since I was very young. And then it was in college, I had a few different experiences that just really shined a light on the fact that, whoa, this is impacting my relationships, my intimacy, my sense of self-worth, all these ways that it was actually impacting my life and my ability to be happy. So then I had that kind of existential crisis of realizing, whoa, I gotta make a change, or else, I could tell you just briefly about it. It was this moment of walking down the street, because there was one moment that really opened up my eyes. I was around 23, maybe. I'd finished undergrad. I was sticking around at my university doing research in a laboratory. And I remember walking down the street. This was Davis, California. blue skies, sunny. My life was amazing. I had a lot of friends. I was captain of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sports club. Like my life was really good. And I was walking down the street and I saw these two, college girls walking in front of me. And I could not stop staring at their butts, just like being consumed with this feeling of lust. And I gotta stare, I gotta look.
And there, brother. Oh, yeah.
Have that. Yeah. It's, the mind is just totally, you're enslaved by that feeling of lust. And in that moment, I realized a bunch of things. One is this feeling of lust is miserable. Like this feeling of lust is a state of suffering. When I'm looking at something I don't have and something I want, but I don't have it, that is what suffering is. And I realized almost all of my life, despite all the amazing things I had in my life, most of my life was a state of suffering because I was always looking at what I didn't have and what I wanted rather than what I did have, rather than being grateful and content. And I mean, contentment was like, there was no contentment. Even though I was a stellar student, finished at the top of my class in everything, always getting A pluses and everything and lots of friends, I was never content. I was discontent and dissatisfied. And I realized that porn was doing that to me. Every time I logged onto porn, I was hardwiring these neural pathways of dissatisfaction, of wanting something new. Because that's what porn does. It gets you addicted to novelty. It's like, oh, I want a new video. I want a new face. I want a new scene. And every time you see a new scene or a new girl or a new video, you get a little dopamine hit. And you get addicted to that novelty. And you start thinking, oh, what makes me happy is having something new, having something slightly better, right? It's that perpetual constant chase for something slightly better. And my whole life was like, I'm not satisfied with what I have. I need something slightly better.
Interesting.
And that's insatiable, And so I realized that, like, the other thing I realized is if I don't make a change, I really saw my future. Like, I saw myself as this creepy 70-year-old dude hitting on girls at college bars. I was like, if I don't make a change and stop watching porn, that's the future I'm going to have. I'm just going to be bouncing from girl to girl, constantly chasing some hot new thing. And it's a miserable life. And that scared the crap out of me. I said, I don't want that future. So that sent me down this dark rabbit hole, which then led me to the bookstore and got me into all these books on positive psychology and Buddhist meditation. And then the rest is history.
So in the time of discontentment when you were on a lot of porn, I don't know how else to put it. Did you find yourself, because I know you said always looking for something new and needing a little bit better, did you find yourself idealizing a lot of situations? Are you taking Maca yet?
I am.
And?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah?
I'm only on day 3.
Yeah.
I'm on
Which
day
one are you
3.
taking? You on the black?
Yeah.
I do the black too. I do the black and I do the tri-blend.
Ooh, you do too.
I do too.
Okay.
But technically 3, because the blend is a blend of 3.
Okay, well.
So if you don't know about Maca, it is a root native to Peru. It grows in 3 colors, black, red, and yellow. Or yellow. Or yellow. Yellow or yellow. I take the black and I take the tri-blend. My girl takes the red and you take the black.
I do.
Typically, yeah. Men take the black, women take the red, and then you intersperse the tri-blend. But it has a lot of benefits. I've been taking it daily for a little over a year. I have noticed a lot. Mood, skin, hair, energy. If you've heard testosterone, libido, I've had a lot of improvements.
Yeah.
All true. And I get my Maca, and I have been from a company called the Maca Team. They are the biggest supplier of genuine Maca from Peru, the biggest supplier in America. And they are nice enough to partner with partner with us and give a discount code if you want to try out Maca. You can go to the macateam.com/secondhand therapy, and you can use code BEARCUB for 10% off.
Ooh, fancy.
So, yeah, if you want to try some Maca, try it out. Dudes, try the black. Ladies, try the red. Or try the tri. But at least go to the website, read about it, see if you might want to do it. It's not pharmaceutical. It's all natural. I've been taking it for over a year. I like it. You're 3 days in. You're less annoying. So we did it.
We did it.
themacateam.com/secondhand therapy. Check it out.
Hey, if you're tired of hearing these ads, which I'm sure you are, you should head on over to Patreon. There are ad-free episodes and early access to episodes. You could be hearing this a week early, along with access to an entirely different podcast. Some would say a better one called The Other Shit Show.
It is fun.
It's non-therapy related.
It is fun.
Super fun. Plus you have early access.
It is fun.
To my new podcast series, Happy Not Funny, and it's ad-free episodes on that as well. Plus
Also fun.
Merch discounts.
Also fun.
Live show things where we interact with the audience.
Live streams is what he's trying to say. We are not going on tour.
Yeah, that's true. What did I say?
He said live shows.
Well, same, you know?
Nope.
It's like a live show.
Nope.
It's like a Zoom.
Okay.
Anyways, you'll have access to us in a more intimate manner.
Intimate.
How about that?
Intimate? There's no N
yeah,
at the
like
end
the
of intimate.
like the candies.
Intimate.
Yeah.
Also, if you sign up, you get a little treat.
Oh, yeah.
So check out the different tiers. One of the tiers is just, if you're just here for secondhand therapy, you want no ads, we'll send you a dope little sticker. And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of time went into designing this sticker.
Yeah.
Too much. You could argue too much. It's a dope sticker, though. So if you sign up for that tier, we'll send you a sticker. The next tier, if you want the other podcast, if you want the bonus stuff from secondhand therapy, all the little extras, you get the sticker. And we are going to send you a signed print designed by yours truly. That took way too much time still. Way too much time. We'll sign it. We'll send it out to you. And then we have the top tier with the live streams. If you want to hang out with us a couple times a month, you get the sticker, the print, and we'll send you a t-shirt that we are not selling or getting anywhere else. So check out Patreon. If you sign up, you get some treats, and it's a good way to support the podcast.
We'll see you over there.
Thanks.
I found myself, particularly in my relationships, having incredibly high expectations and unrealistic expectations. It's like I would fantasize about some girl and be like, oh man, I gotta get with her. I gotta approach her. I gotta talk to her. And then we would get together. It would be great for a couple days. And then I would think, but she's got a little bit of this, or her breath kind of smells, or I need something better, And so I had these unrealistic expectations that somebody should be perfect, because in porn, you're training your brain that you can have perfection. And all it takes is to look a little bit harder, and then you'll find something slightly better. And also, whenever porn is all, perfect people, right? It's whatever you're searching for. And so you start to think that is attainable. Like, oh, I can have exactly what I want when I want, with no risk of rejection. It's all within my power. I can have whatever I want. And that translates to your real life. You get kind of greedy, and you don't know how to be content and appreciative of what's right there in front of you. So if that answers your question, like I'm not sure exactly if that's what you were asking about.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you got going on over there?
I'm just seeing a lot of overlap. I'm somebody who started watching porn at an early age. I discovered it around like 11, I think, somewhere around there. And it started the same way, dirty magazines and then VHS tapes, because I'm old. And then as the internet came along, it just got more powerful, more obtainable. And yeah, I never really thought of it as like a problem because it was so common. All of my friends were watching porn. Everybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's sex is everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
normalized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, just to butt in on you for a second, like the other big issue that I realized, and that probably is why you didn't realize it was an issue, is that a lot of the consequences of porn, it's not like the consequences of shooting up heroin. It's not like something you notice right away as, oh my gosh, like some crazy hangover. A lot of the consequences are very subtle, and they're downstream, and they're long term. So they're things that slowly, almost imperceptibly affect you over long periods of time. Like if you look at yourself from 1 year to 5 years later, you can see how it's impacted you. But on a day-to-day basis, it just feels like you're watching TV. Like it doesn't necessarily feel like anything's really changing about you. So a lot of the consequences are just very subtle, and they build up slowly over time, which is why most people don't notice it. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, it's just normalized. Everybody does it. It's common. What's the big deal? We don't realize that it actually is harming
Yeah,
us.
which makes it sound like every other addiction, right? Like when people are alcoholics or whatever, like, what's the big deal? Everybody's drinking this and that. Yeah, but it is an addiction, um, and I also found myself, fantasizing or idealizing relationships or situations throughout my life, that were fueled by lust or fantasy, and yeah, it's just interesting looking at, again, like the idea of what you were talking about, like you get these perfect scenarios and these scenes, or maybe not even how they look, but how they behave. And then you get
Mm-hmm.
the real life scenarios, and sex is awkward. A lot of times, especially with new people, like sex is not like it is on screen. It's fucking awkward a lot of times, and it's human. And yeah, it's just
Mm-hmm.
interesting that a lot of that is fueled by lust and fantasy versus the reality of what it actually is.
Yeah, and that's another thing that, is a whole rabbit hole we could get into. It's like it's not just the unrealistic expectations of what bodies should look like, but it's how people should be acting, and also the our expectations of what we think women are interested in, because again, the majority of what we see on Pornhub and porn sites is extreme fantasy because it's the most clickbaity, it's what gets people hooked on it. So it's all, pretty extreme stuff. And on top of that, it's not realistic of what intimacy is all about. I mean, there's no communication, there's no consent. If anything, it's the opposite. We're kind of, making it seem like a lack of consent is what women want, that they want to just be, grabbed and thrown against the wall or whatever. And I've said this before, in zero porn scenes ever, will you ever see a girl turn down sex and that request be kind of accepted?
Yeah.
You will never see a girl say, "Hey, I'm not interested right now," or "I'm not interested in you," and the man saying, "Okay, hey, thanks for letting me know." And so imagine what this does. Imagine a 10-year-old boy watching porn every night for the next 10 years. He's logging onto Pornhub and watching everything he's seeing there. He's getting the impression that women are always in the mood. If you make an advance, she'll reciprocate. She'll be up for it. If she resists, it's just because she's playing hard to get and she likes it rough. And so this is totally warping, what young men think of as healthy intimacy. They also think, anal is what every girl likes. Every girl likes to be choked. It's like because that's the majority of what they're seeing. And so, I'm really concerned about the younger generation because, at least in our generation, it's like VHS and, magazines and then dial up. You had to download
Yeah.
like a photo at a time. And, but now, I mean, imagine being 8 years old and having access to high speed, hardcore internet porn where you could get down a really dark rabbit hole. And now there's AI porn, which is even darker. I mean, it gets really dark on some of that stuff. And so, it's It's a big problem, and it's getting worse,
I
sadly.
read a thing recently saying that younger people in their first sexual experiences, so like mid-teens, are essentially finding out that when they're with a real person, a peer, that they are unable to get stimulated or even be interested because they've seen so much sexual content that is nothing like what is right in
Yeah,
front of them. So you have these teenagers
yeah,
that like can't get an erection, can't, and they're like not even interested in a real person, and it's wild.
yeah. I mean, rates of erectile dysfunction, delayed ejaculation, all kinds of issues have skyrocketed, and it's exactly for this reason. I mean, if you've been fed a diet of hyper extreme porn scenes, then first of all, you're training your brain that what arouses you is watching kind of something 2D on a screen in front of you, not being next to a real person that's 3D and has smells and sounds and farts
Yeah.
occasionally, all these kinds of things. Like you said, it's messy, it's human. And so first of all, your brain doesn't recognize that this is what sex is. It thinks this is some foreign thing. This isn't arousing. And then on top of that, when you're used to crazy fantasy porn, just having a normal, quote unquote, normal sexual experience doesn't do it for you. And so you see erectile dysfunction just skyrocketing.
Man, that's crazy. Do you know, I don't know if you're an expert in this way, do you know what qualifies as porn addiction, as being addicted?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how each person, because there's a lot of different definitions of addiction. You used to see this argument, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people would say, oh, porn isn't an addiction. You can't be addicted to
I've heard
porn,
that.
and there's no physical withdrawal. Yeah, you still hear it from time to time. You still meet therapists who say, you can't be addicted. You just have a high sex drive. Those people are very much getting drowned out, and for good reason. We know you can get addicted. It can be a very serious addiction. What addiction is, one definition is just any behavior that you repeatedly do despite the negative consequences. If you keep doing something, but it's causing harm in your life and you keep doing it anyway, you could classify it as an addiction. And, there are other things you can look at, like, is there a sense of powerlessness? Is there a lack of control? Is there escalation? Do you need more and more of the same thing in order to get the same hit? But all of those are true with porn addiction. You see it escalating. I need a more extreme video. I need, and so porn is definitely an addiction. The question is, a lot of people have is, how do I know if I'm addicted? Is there a number? Like, if I watch 3 hours a day, is that an addiction? But 2.5 hours a day isn't an addiction. And what I like to say is there isn't any number. You really have to do just a self-diagnosis and ask yourself, is this behavior causing more harm than it's bringing benefit into my life? If that's the case, it's an addiction somewhere on the spectrum. It might be a minor addiction, but it's still an addiction. It might be an extreme addiction where you're getting into illegal stuff and cheating on your partner and losing money. It's a spectrum of addictions. But the basic question of, is this thing causing harm in my life? Is it causing more harm than it's bringing good to my life? Then it's an addiction.
With the rise of porn getting banned in America, and your feelings towards what it does to the brain and how harmful it is there such thing as a healthy relationship with porn? Because like some people are like, well, I have a healthy drinking problem, or what are other addictions or whatever. Like, do you feel like there is a healthy avenue, or is it just all the way bad?
Yeah, it's such a great question. My personal view, so I don't come at this from a religious perspective. I'm not like a porn is a sin kind of thing. I grew up in a pretty liberal household where sex was celebrated. And what I would say is it's a little bit of that, like if somebody has a healthy relationship, then sure. But I would say for 99% of guys, they don't have a healthy relationship with it, even if they think they do. That very rarely is somebody able to just kind of watch it occasionally, and it actually is bringing more benefit to their life than the harm that it's causing on a subconscious level. Because what benefit
I was
is it
just going to
bringing?
ask. I was like,
I
what
mean, it's a
benefit
little
does
bit
porn
of
bring?
Yeah.
Well, there's the obvious benefit that it brings for almost everyone, which is pleasure and distraction, escape, right? So it does, those can be benefits, you know. Pleasure feels good, you know. Distraction, sometimes it's like that is a benefit, right? If there wasn't a benefit, people wouldn't get addicted to it, right? And then escape. So there is benefit. A lot of it is short term, but the harms, the long term consequences, sometimes even the short term consequences, almost always, especially for men, outweigh those the benefits. Like 99.9% of the time, I would say for men, it's just going to be unhealthy. It's going to cause more damage to your satisfaction in your relationships, to your ability to focus and live out your purpose and focus on the things that are really important to you. You know, go to the gym, exercise, get out in nature, all the things that actually make, particularly us men, feel really good and fulfilled. It just steals your energy from that. Now, I will say, you know, that might be slightly different for women. Women definitely can be addicted. You know, some of my clients are women, and you can get addicted to porn. A lot of women can get addicted to romance novels because for women, it's more about the story, the kind of the character. So romance novels can be an addiction as well. Um, but, you know, I would say women have more of a capacity to have a quote unquote healthy relationship with it. But even then, given the type of porn that we're seeing on just any porn site, just so much of it has a negative impact, you know, as just kind of the way it impacts our expectations of intimacy and ourself. And, you know, it's very rare to find somebody who really uses it to their
So I was
benefit.
going to ask about the difference between men and women and how they intake porn and the addiction rates and things like that. And I didn't know if it was just because it seems more targeted and geared towards men, or if there's something else just like in the inner brain workings of men versus women that they're just not as susceptible to pornography as men.
Are you tired of staring at your phone? Are you addicted to it?
Oh my God.
Are you?
Yeah, well, yeah, like everybody else, sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I got a new. Let me tell these people about my new phone.
Okay.
Okay. It's called the Light Phone.
Oh, I've heard about that.
The light. Yeah, you've seen me use it. The Light Phone, also known, some people call it a dumb phone. Anyway, it's a smartphone. It has internet, but the internet will only get you navigation. There is no email. There is no social media. Nothing like that. It does calls. It does texts. It does navigation. It has a calendar and a flashlight.
It's like having a BlackBerry again.
Kinda.
Oof.
Yeah.
I love that.
It has a pretty cool camera too, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah?
It's got a dope camera on it. It's got a camera, yeah. Anyway, they were nice enough. They sent us a little discount code if anybody wants to get on the Light Phone train with us. So there's a link in the episode description for the Light Phone. And then if you want to pre-order the Light Phone 3, use code secondhand therapy, all lowercase. Try out a Light Phone. It's pretty great.
Stop your doom scrolling.
Stop your doom scrolling. Be more present in life. Link down below. Promo code secondhand therapy, all lowercase. Check out a Light Phone. Join us in the present world.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, men are much more visually stimulated erotically. You know, we get stimulated by stuff we see, you know. It's like, oh, I like the look of that. But for women, much more, it's less about the visual stimulation. There is a lot of that for sure, but it's more about the storyline, the character, you know, like there needs to be a bit more drama usually. Like, oh, who is this person? And so visual porn doesn't do it as much as like erotic literature for the most part. These are all generalizations, but there is some kind of biology to that as well. But women definitely can get addicted, and we're seeing it more and more. The rates of that are on the rise.
What advice would you give to somebody that has decided to quit porn if they wanted a successful path to do so?
I would say the most important thing someone can do if they want to quit is get connected to a community, a brotherhood, a men's group, a therapist, a coach. Get connected to at least someone, but ideally a community that can help support you in this journey. Because the hardest thing is to do this alone, to try to quit this addiction on your own. It can be done, but it's incredibly difficult because the problem is the moment you slip up, and you will slip up with porn, it's everywhere. It's too pervasive, so slips happen. If you're trying to do this on your own, the moment you slip up, you have no accountability to get back on track. You just think, oh, well, this is who I am. I'm always going to be addicted. I might as well just keep watching. Or you tell yourself the excuse, which I see a lot of, okay, well, I'll just watch for a few more days and I'll start my recovery on next Monday or next month, or when I'm a little bit less stressed at work. So having a community that holds you accountable and supports you. And then on top of that, it helps you let go of the shame around this addiction. Because a huge thing with porn addiction and sex addiction is the shame associated with it. Guys feel like they're the only one. They feel like everyone else has a healthy relationship with porn or sexuality. I'm the only pervert who likes to watch this and this and this. I'm the only one who can't control himself. And I'm ashamed of that. And what shame does is it makes you want to isolate and hide away. It makes you want to say, oh, if people knew the truth about me, they would run away, they would point fingers, they would call me a monster. So that shame in every addiction is what keeps people stuck in addiction, but particularly so for porn and sex addictions. Shame is a really huge component of staying stuck in addiction. So getting connected is the first step.
I was going to ask, when you mentioned sex addiction, is there, from your experience and your knowledge, is there a high overlap with porn addiction and sex and love addiction?
It can be. It doesn't have to be, though. It's really a case-by-case basis. For some people, it's both and for other people, it's one or the other. Some people are just, some people, because of their porn addiction, it makes it increasingly hard for them to actually go out and talk to people and have real sex. And so for them, it's just escalating deeper and deeper into the digital world. For some, and this was the case for me, it was both. It's like my porn was also fueling my desire to go out and meet more women and have more sex, and it was both. And for some people, they don't have a porn addiction, and I would say this is rarer, that somebody just has a sex addiction or love addiction and they don't watch porn. But that can happen also. So it's really a case-by-case basis. But what I'll say is, addiction, it's the same at the root for all of these things. And so if you struggle with addiction, it's less about what the particular outlet is, the particular substance or the behavior. It can easily, you can squash it in one spot and it'll just pop up somewhere else. So, if you're addicted to porn, this is why, in my program specifically, it's not just about sobriety and just stop watching porn. You really have to go to the root of the addiction. You have to understand why you developed that addiction in the first place. Because if you just squash it somewhere, it's just going to pop up somewhere else if you never address why you're acting out and trying to escape in the first place. And so that's the same with porn or sex or drugs or anything. Sobriety is not the same as recovery. Sobriety is just, let me use some willpower and, block everything and go into a dark hole and try to distract myself for a while. But recovery is saying, let me untangle the knots of my soul and my mind that made me want to escape and run away and cause damage to myself in the first place.
Sobriety is different than recovery. That is, it's a crazy thought. That makes, yeah. How you doing over there?
Great.
Yeah, all right.
It's funny because this topic, especially for us men, like I don't know how old you guys are. I'm guessing you're similar to me.
Early
but
20s, yeah.
How old are you guys?
42 and
20 something.
no.
What?
Anyway, I mean, this topic for almost any guy, but particularly guys, around our age, like it can be such a confronting and eye-opening and just like a that emoji of the brain,
Yeah.
having the brain kind of explosion. It's like, oh man, like I never even looked at it this way and thought about my porn habit when I was 8 years old. And, it's kind of wild to look back and think of this thing that really has impacted our lives so deeply. And we rarely in our society stop to think about it.
We were just talking about it last week.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to the idea of how common it was, I thought the numbers were way higher than they were. Because he was like, what's the percentage of people do you think that watch porn every day? And I forget, what was the number I said? Like,
you said 75.
75%. I said, yeah, I think 75% of people watch porn every day, or at least somewhere around there. And we looked up the numbers, and I don't know if you know the numbers or not, but do you want to take a guess at
I don't.
11%?
If I had to, you mean of people
in the U.S.,
men
the
or
percent
people?
of people in America that watch porn every day.
Okay. Yeah. 11%, that's a little surprising to me. I would have guessed higher also. But I guess if you're factoring in, men and women, if you're not looking at any kind of age distribution or anything. But I think if you were to look at, it would be a very different question if you say, what's the percentage of men between the ages of 18 to 65? And then if you were to say who have watched it, at least within the last week, because a lot of people, they are battling it. And so a lot of people do it like once every 2 or 3 days. There are a lot of people who do watch it daily, but a lot of people are in this battle where, they go 2-3 days and then they watch again. They go 2-3 days and they watch again. So if you were to ask that question, like men 18 to 65 have watched it in the last week, my guess it'd be up in the 70 to 80% range.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about you quitting porn, or is that off the table?
I'm new to it, so wasn't going to mention it.
We talk about it or no?
I mean, we're talking about it now. Because after that conversation about hearing how uncommon it was, and how I thought the numbers being vastly different than what I thought they were, and again, just like being, brought up in circles where porn was just common. I never looked at it as a problem. But yeah, after our conversation last week, I was like, well, I think I'm done with it then, because it's not doing. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, there's no real benefits of it.
Well, one thing I just want to address is like this question of, is it common? It's like it almost doesn't matter how common or not it is. The question is it healthy?
Thank you.
Like, if 100% of people were doing it, but it was unhealthy, and you had some clarity and some awareness to realize, whoa, this is screwing with my relationships. It's screwing with my ability to be satisfied in relationships, to have a sense of self-worth, to be in integrity, to talk to women and not objectify them. That's the real question is this thing healthy? Is it screwing with your life? And so it doesn't matter how many people watch it. It's besides the point. But, so that one of the things that really changed my perspective on this was understanding neuroplasticity. And there was this one quote that I read in that book that changed my life, the book on kind of, Buddhist philosophy, but it was this guy who was also a scientist. And it was on neuroplasticity, and it was the quote was, neurons that fire together wire together. And the understanding is that every time you think a certain type of thought, you're strengthening those neural pathways. Whatever you think or do or pay attention to, you're strengthening those neural pathways in your mind. And what I realized is like every time I was watching porn, I was strengthening the neural pathway of craving and lust and wanting something I didn't have. And you're just building up this super highway of what that essentially is dissatisfaction. Because the flip side of the same coin of craving is I'm not satisfied with what I have. I want something else. That's what craving is. I need that other thing in order to be happy. And so it just makes it so much harder to be satisfied with anything in your life, with yourself, with your partners, with your career, with the amount of money in your bank. You know, it makes you look at the world with this lens of, I don't have enough. I'm not satisfied yet. I need more. You know, this in Buddhism, there's this really cool concept. There's these different realms of existence in Buddhist cosmology. There's like the heavenly realm where everything is pleasant and feels good. There's the hell realm where everything is unpleasant and painful. There's the animal realm where it's just kind of animalistic urges and desires. Then there's the human realm that we're in. And then there's this realm called the realm of the hungry ghosts. And it's this realm of these creatures, these ghost-like creatures that wander their existence, and they have huge, massive stomachs, massive bellies, and they have tiny pinhole mouths. And so they wander around and they can never eat enough to satisfy their hunger because their mouths are too small and their bellies are too big. And so their whole existence is just wandering, trying to eat enough, but they can never eat enough to satisfy their massive hunger. That's what addiction is like. It's just wandering around thinking, I need something hotter, I need something better, I need more followers, more money, a bigger watch, whatever it is. It's just suffering.
I think I have.
And so, like,
Gabor Mate has a book.
Yeah.
In the realm of hunger ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah. The realm of the hungry ghosts.
Yeah, I have it. Didn't read it. Have it. I'll read it. I'm gonna read it now.
Read it. Yeah. I've always been interested in Buddhism. I used to listen to Alan Watts a lot, and Alan would talk about Buddhism and things like that. And it was always interesting to hear the thoughts and meditations and things like that of Buddhist.
It's a really cool philosophy. I mean, I used to think, Buddhism, it's all about like rebirth and karma, and you have to believe in all these, funny things, and that kept me away from it. But when I realized it's really just about understanding the dynamics of your mind, understanding what real contentment and happiness is, and how the mind works, that's what Buddhism really is in a nutshell. And it's powerful.
In your experience and knowledge of Buddhism, do you have a strong belief on whether or not happiness is a real thing that is attainable, or is that often misconstrued with contentment?
Great question. And in order to answer that, it really depends on your definitions and what you're looking at. A lot of people mistake happiness for kind of this ecstatic bliss, big smile on their face, going and dancing in a rave in Ibiza kind of thing. And that's not the happiness that Buddhism is talking about. The happiness that Buddhism is talking about and promising is more of the inner peace, the inner fulfillment, that deep sense of contentment and inner fulfillment with life. And when I went through that experience that I talked about of having that existential crisis, what I realized in that moment is what I really want is inner fulfillment and inner peace. That's the happiness that I really aspired to. And definitely it's possible. It's Thich Nhat Hanh, was this Vietnamese Buddhist teacher, had this great quote. He said, happiness is all around. It's free for the taking. Help yourself. It's right there. It's free. It's right in front of us. In the very simple act of being grateful for what you have is that happiness. When you have a moment of real gratitude of, whoa, I'm alive. Whoa, I'm breathing. Whoa, I have people who love me. Any moment of gratitude is a moment of happiness, of that kind of inner fulfillment. And any moment of craving, greed, hatred. I mean, that's what the Buddha talked about. He's like, the roots of suffering are greed, hatred, and delusion.
Greed, hatred, and delusion. Okay.
And so greed is, I want that thing, and I'll only be happy if I can get that thing. Hatred is, I hate that thing. If only I didn't have that thing or that person, then I could be happy. It's the aversion that just get it away and then I'll be happy. And then the delusion is just kind of a lack of seeing things as they are, a lack of seeing clearly. Any kind of suffering is greed, aversion, or delusion. It's one of those three.
Shit. Greed, hatred, or delusion. Damn.
And hatred, the real kind of term there is aversion. Like hatred, people think, well, I'm not a hateful person. I don't hate anyone. But aversion is this feeling of, I don't want this. And if I just didn't have this experience, this thing, this person, then I would be at peace. If I just didn't have this knee pain, then I would be okay. If I just didn't have this, coworker, then I would be okay. The aversion is this feeling of, if I just didn't have that, then I'd be okay. The greed, the craving is the other side, which is, I just need that hot girlfriend. I just need to watch porn. I just need to, whatever it is. Then I'll be happy.
I have a hot girlfriend, and I got to tell you, it's a pain in the ass sometimes. It's a real fucking pain in the ass sometimes.
It's greed and aversion at the same time.
It's greed and aversion and delusion. I don't even know what I'm doing. No, she's great. I'm very happy with her.
I mean, and the delusion is the part of us that thinks that believes all those stories.
Yeah.
And doesn't see clearly that like real happiness is in being of service to other people. Real happiness is in practicing compassion for yourself and for others. Real happiness is in equanimity and being at peace with the way things are.
And that is recovery talk.
There's so many. Yeah.
So have you found all this for yourself?
So I'm not by any means a kind of enlightened being that is kind of just blissfully, floating through life. But what I'll say is that I'm so much better off than I used to be. And it's because of this understanding and the training, training my mind to be grateful, to be content, to, practice compassion. That's what meditation is. It's just training the mind to cultivate these mental qualities that lead to happiness. So I'm definitely much happier than I was before.
And we know that. Jesus.
That's a bear.
It's not.